Say, that's a nice Willys you got there.
Is it Willys or is it Willys?
I think you did some research.
I did.
We're switching positions today.
Hi, everybody.
It's my first attempt at camera holding.
It's Ian Cam.
Ian Cam. That's me. So, you ready to get it on?
Oh my gosh, so I'm really excited about this Jeep. Like, I'm very excited.
Somebody said it wasn't a Jeep.
It is a Jeep. I did my research. I'm learning more about it. For me, learning about these old cars is fun. So I started my research on this Jeep. I just always thought it just looked really cool. But now I'm realizing that there's like an incredible amount of history with these Jeeps.
These Willises?
These Willises or Willys, which is commonly accepted in the Jeep world to be either Willys, because Mr. Willys, who owned the automobile.
The famed Willys Overland Corp?
Yep. He pronounced it Willys, but it's spelled Willys. So for many decades, it was pronounced Willys or Willy. So it's accepted in all circles. I'm going to call it Willys because it's my Jeep, and I like the name Willys.
I'm going to call it Potato.
Potato, potato, tomato, tomato. So yeah, so I was watching some really cool YouTube videos about the Willys Jeep and did some reading on Wikipedia and was just learning a lot about this particular style of Jeep. So I found out that these are the first Jeeps after World War II. So there's a good possibility that a lot of things that are on this remaining of the Jeep were from World War II, because they repurposed a lot of things once they went to the CJ or the civilian Jeep body.
So that's why it's called a CJ.
Yeah, so
See, I only knew about Jeeps from Daisy Duke, because she had a CJ-7. There, it says Jeep right there.
Right there. But yeah, so I found it really fascinating that this Jeep actually may have been made right after World War II with leftover parts from the war. And it is not a 1944. It probably is a 1946 or a 47. We're still not sure. But yeah, so I'm really excited to work on this with you and get this little baby back on the road.
And we already described that it's not the correct chassis for the body. It's longer here. So we're going to have to work with that some way.
And I already have color picked out for it. One of the original colors.
I thought they were like Model Ts, Fords. They came in every color as long as you like it black.
Yeah, right.
These came in multiple colors?
Yeah, actually, so they had the original CJ came in two colors. It was this olive green and then another like a khaki color. So that's how you kind of know that it was original. One of the original bodies. So I do think this is actually probably a 1946.
Our friend Tom restored one of these, and he went for the fiberglass repop body. And he said he kind of regretted it because this one is in really reasonable condition. But
for as old as it is, it's 78 years old-ish. So, yeah.
It's like your fender's a little dented there.
I feel like you can fix that, though.
And there's some other stuff, but it's not cancer rot out. It's just fatigued in places.
Right. It's just so cool. And seriously, it's been sitting there in the backyard for so long. And, you know, I've been wanting you to build this for me for the other show, and it just never made the cut. So now that I'm the editor / producer / director / the other half of Full Custom Ian, I get to choose.
Do I still get to keep the mad scientist role?
Yes, you do.
Excellent.
But now I get to pick a project, and Jamie's Jeep is going to be the project. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. It's super cool. Like, I love this.
The manual windshield wiper.
Because it never really rains in the desert, right? So, like, for real, if I run to the store and we get a little sprinkle, I can take care of that.
You know what bums me out?
What?
When we got it from Tom, the glass wasn't broken.
Oh, no.
Our lovely winds out here. Yeah.
Yikes.
That's what happened to that glass.
And so that's the other thing that I love about this Jeep is I love that the windshield goes down. Like I just think that's so rad and just so cool that maybe you see those in cars these days, but I can't afford those cars. So yeah, I'm really excited to get this. Oh, and the Go Devil engine. I was just watching a video about the Go Devil. So the reason why they named the engine the Go Devil was evidently the original Go Devil engines. They ran that engine for 100 hours at peak RPM. Peak RPM, the little, I think it was like a 2-cylinder or 4-cylinder at for 100 hours peak RPM, and it still works. So that's why military, like the people in the war and stuff, they loved these Jeeps and the engine so much. And the Go Devil term actually comes from, in the 1800s, it was some kind of like logging transportation machine that moved logs out of the forest, and it was like really easy, very it was very well designed and simple, so that's where the Go Devil name came from. So that's why they called it the Go Devil engine, because it just works. So
in my experience too, I've also heard of like some mini bike or mini motorcycle type thing called a Go Devil as well. Some folks might comment on that.
right. So really interesting. I'm excited to learn a lot of the history around these Jeeps. I think it's so cool that there's only about 200,000 of them made. I really don't care how much they're worth. I think that it's neat to just have a piece of like history and, you know, be able to drive it. It's very cool. I mean, how many people have, you know, pretty decent car bodies from the 1940s?
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Yeah.
Less than 200,000?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. Let's get into it. Let's put it up on the lift.
All right, I'm gonna grab that big old tractor, chain it up. I got our bend pack lift powered up and ready to go.
So there, you're on this side of the camera now.
I just like to say, people are asking about our dog, and he's doing well. He's recovering. You might notice my hat.
Huh. How did that happen? Puppy.
Somebody got a hold of it. Still works as a head warmer. I'm gonna take this body off. It's not even connected. I just set it on there when I got it. That's what a Jeep looks like with its clothes off.
So that chassis is from a newer Jeep.
CJ-3, 4, I don't know, but it's bigger, it's longer. I was told that it has improved steering, and I see a center link that I don't know much about these with, but the drag link steering you'll see on some hot rods will grab by the spindle, but this one has this little thing that looks to me similar to what I'd see under a VW bus. There's like a center pivot. So I could see how that's improved for clearance, maybe bump steer or something, but it looks to me like this Toyota engine, you can see where the motor mounts, they're set right into the chassis. It looks like a pretty decent installation. So instead of unbolting this, I think I'm going to cut right through that and leave the transmission in place, because the axles and the drive shafts and all the other stuff, look at this, the way it's made it up. I don't know anything about these, but this looks like, what is this? Like, is this bell housing from the Toyota? Because it looks like it matches darn perfect. Like, did they hack into the Toyota bell housing and made it to the Jeep transmission? Is that a Toyota transmission? I don't know. It looks like it belongs in this Jeep. We have questions. Do you have any questions?
No, this part of
It's got power brakes.
This part of the project, I'm definitely going to be learning. So where are the power brakes?
This big vacuum diaphragm, this big disc.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm pretty sure that this Jeep didn't come with this, but here we are. I mean, that's a cool little feature. I don't know if the engine that we're bringing in could provide vacuum to make this work, but somebody did something. I mean, it will provide vacuum, I just don't know how well. No, that's a Japanese master cylinder. Maybe that came from a Toyota as well. Dual circuit. Interesting. All right, so if you want to pop this engine out, I'll hold the camera.
You want me to pop the engine out?
Why not?
How do you do that? You have to tell me.
Well, would you like to follow along as I unbolt the engine?
Yes. So part of this project is me just kind of learning more about engines, disassembly, just kind of starting with the basics. Because Ian can show me how to do that kind of stuff. I have no intention of ever building my own car, but I just want to understand a bit more. Plus, I really want this Jeep, so I'll do whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. I just want a dang Jeep.
It's interesting because it looks like the Toyota bell housing, because you have the slave cylinder for the clutch, and that's definitely Toyota. And like this thing seems to be like hacked together. I can't wait to open it up and see what the heck happened in here. I mean, if this is grassroots engineering and it worked, because it's fairly technical. Like if they used a Jeep clutch disc that had the spline to match the transmission, and then the pressure plate was that Jeep, was the flywheel Jeep? I don't get it. How did they put it all together? It's got a pretty new starter on it.
New and like how long ago?
Well, who knows, but the sticker's still on it, and it's clearly way cleaner than the rest of it. And the alternator looks like it was changed out too. This looks like a Chevy-style alternator to me. GM.
Fascinating. Well, let's get to taking it apart.
Every car's got a secret. Well, I gotta say, almost every engine like this is, it separates from the bell housing to the engine block. You see that seam right there? Mm-hmm. So that's, you'll see this ring of bolts, and they all come off. So if you want to maybe take out whatever you can reach with this ratchet, again, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and I'm going to take off the starter bolts that are going through as well.
Okay.
So you'll see sometimes they come off finger tight, and sometimes it ain't that easy. It's a bunch of home sourced hardware, all different size nuts, which isn't a total fail, but definitely indicative of the backyard swap. I tell you, that has always been interesting to me, the people that perform engine swaps like this. Especially with a standard shift with the throwout bearing, etc.
Yeah, there's two up there.
A couple jets cruising past. Yeah.
So am I doing this right?
Yeah.
How come it's not making that noise?
Because if you hold that part now, it will make the noise. Aha! The ratchet noise.
Oops.
See, as soon as it loosens up, that's what I was saying, sometimes the finger tightness, you'll get spoiled. It'll start to ratchet sometimes, and other times
Aha,
it
I
just
see.
won't.
Okay. Done.
All right, so that's all of them except for the two starter bolts. I'll get in there and fiddle them apart.
This is fun.
It's always fun the first time. Let's see how you feel in 25 years. After your fingers are entrenched in grease and the job is never done on time.
Well, pretty soon I'll be teaching you editing, and then I can do the wrenching. How about that?
I like it. So if you would like, you could wrench these off.
Just with that?
These are 14 millimeter, it appears. So this is a ratcheting wrench.
Fancy.
Yeah. And then the lower ones, see they double nut them? There's 2 on there, so let me just get that started because that'll mess with you. Yeah, just there's some kind of cool genuineness in the questions that you ask, where it's like, well, what about this? It's like, oh yeah, well, that happens.
And I'm glad people like my questions. When Ian and I met one another, I knew how to turn a car on and off and check the oil and put gas in it. And low-key kind of how to check the tire pressure.
Yeah, but a great credit is that you grew up driving a stick shift, so you were kind of already had street cred.
Oh
in that
yeah,
regard.
no, that's how I learned how to drive. Basically, was on a stick shift. That's why, like, I think for me, like the Jeep, it's, you know, I love Persephone a lot. I love the nostalgia of a Volkswagen, but I don't know, Jeeps. I used to have a Renegade when my kid wasn't even born. And I don't know, there's just something about the Jeep that's very special to me. So when I saw this sitting back there, I've just really wanted it, and I want to learn how to do some of this stuff. I think it's so cool. So many women that I've met, you know, like at SEMA, different people like Joe Coddington, like women that really know how to like work on cars. They're very inspiring to me because it is such a man's world. You do it so much faster than me.
Well, at the age of 53, you can imagine I started turning my first wrench. Gulp, 40-something years ago.
I feel a little inept.
See the freeze plugs? Do you see that one's missing?
Ooh, what's a freeze plug?
Well, you know how when you leave a can of beer in the freezer and it pops the cap?
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah, yeah.
That's the cap on the engine to stop it from cracking the block. So this thing froze. And looking at this, it's a 20R motor. As I understand, the 22Rs are fairly desirable, but I think the 20Rs are pretty cool too. So I don't know, it turns over. Maybe somebody can restore it, but you got that.
I did it. Oh boy, there's more. Oh, the double. That's what you were saying. I need to get a stool. I'm sorry. I don't know how y'all do this on your knees like this. Work harder, not smarter. I mean, work smarter, not harder. Much better.
So, you know, sometimes when I come in from the shop at the end of the day and I'm just bloody miserable.
Yes.
You could see how this could all really tax a person.
Oh, Dad. Well, especially with you, you know, some people say you work with junk. I think it's vintage, it's repurposed, but stuff gets old, it gets crusty.
Myself included.
But we're gonna make it good as new.
So there's one more bolt here, but you need one of your favorite pieces, that wobbly extender.
I get to use a wobbly extender?
Yes, you do.
And then this pops on here.
Just automatic go. And the more lean back, get the best angle on it you can. The hard way.
This way?
Oh yeah, the hard way through.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh, dang.
Yes.
I skipped arm day at the gym.
Not today.
Jeez Louise. Should be just about out, it feels like. It's hard for me to tell because I've literally never done this before.
Oh no, you got it. Nailed it.
What a nice day.
So the rear motor mounts would be in this transmission. So there's a rubber, see these rubber dealies here? And then the fronts are supported by rubber dealies also.
Rubber dealies?
That is the technical term. Dealie bobs are a break-off part from the dealie. Then the doohickeys are another thing entirely.
This is fun. How do you like remember where everything goes? Is that just like years of experience of taking things apart? Because that's what like boggles my mind about these engines is I have no idea what anything is and where it goes and what it does. Like, how do you remember that?
Most gasoline engines have all of the same accompaniments in that you'll have a carburetor or fuel injection. You'll have an ignition system, which could be the distributor or a computer. You have your water pump. So there's different shapes, but it's all kind of the same business. Your clutch or torque converter will be in there. Transmission. There's some variations.
Kind of like the human body.
You have made some jokes about my pry bar. Would you like to take this opportunity to use it?
Yes. Get ready to pry.
All right, so that area that you saw opening up that gap.
Ooh, I get to pry it there? Wow, that thing's heavy.
Yeah. Aha! All
How
right,
hard do I go?
I think you're good.
There's still that bolt there. Is that all right?
Is it sliding through?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's sliding apart. Yeah. You're on the right path.
Oh my gosh.
Went side to side.
It's doing it.
It's a boy. I guess you could claim that as your very first engine
Yes. High five.
removal. So the determining factor in the mounting of the Toyota to this, I assume that this is the Jeep transmission. It says here, what does that look like, 90? T90.
T90A.
Yeah, so if that's the Jeep transmission that's supposed to be in here, then the bell housing has to be what's custom. The splines on the transmission must be Jeep, so that leads to think that the clutch disc is splined for the Jeep, but this has a hydraulic slave cylinder for the clutch, so it's a hydraulic clutch, which I don't know, but I would think that Jeep would be pretty mechanical, like just a linkage. But when you look in here, in the bell housing, look at this. I mean, this was definitely machined out by hand, but the bolts, look at the bosses, the castings. They seem to match the bolt pattern on the transmission pretty darn perfect. So I'm going to unbolt those 4 bolts and see what else is going on. Hopefully somebody in the Jeep world would be like, oh yeah, no, they sold a kit back in the 70s. Like everybody did that. So maybe that's the case. I don't see any markings on this bell housing though. You know, Joe Schmo's custom adapter kit. Because you know, Joe Schmo or Acme.
He makes everything.
Acme Jeep Adapters Incorporated. So hey, this might be a cool item, right? If somebody's looking to swap a Yoder into their Jeep, this might be the missing link. Or even if it's handmade, I mean, it does hold the Toyota starter and the hydraulic clutch. Pretty groovy stuff.
Now, will you save all of like this stuff?
I think that's what we were reading with the Jeep guys. Were like, oh, twins, 2 handles on that one side. You know, maybe that T90 on the side is descriptive of what it is. I'm not sure. I heard somebody say T70. I don't know if that was just me imagining things or that's a different kind of transmission. But I'm not sure what the twin handles are for. Is there like a 4 high gear and a 4 low gear?
Yes. So
is it all-time 4-wheel drive?
So the video that I was watching today on this particular thing, on this CJ-2, I think it is. Yeah, it's for the high and the low 4-wheel drive.
So you engage one or the other.
Yeah, and then the plaque on the inside of the Jeep body actually gives instructions on how to shift the gears to put it in high and low.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
I never read the instructions. That's why
So
I'm
if anybody
asking these
has
questions.
a nice one of those laying around and you want to donate to the cause, but yeah, I know I definitely want to keep that.
I have to get the hammer. It almost looks like this thing was fiberglass. What is this? It was fiberglass. Somebody totally made this. What?
Wow.
18R. So this looks like, shoot, maybe the bolts match up. Oh, look at this. Is this added on? What is this? Look at, I think these are the Jeep holes. Now, the plot. Those are welded onto the, look at that. The lower holes are welded to that case. Prepare for a wire brush. The plot is even deeper than I considered. That is pretty cool. Especially the fact that it worked. This thing had to be a bit of a handful because those Toyota motors really spin out RPM wise. I mean, way different than a Jeep engine. Look at that. That is welded right to. I mean, that's racing right there. That guy came in first on Jeep Day. Heck yeah. That's some ingenuity. Oh, look. This has been welded. I think these are the Jeep holes.
Ah.
So the Toyota flange must have been just a hair bigger.
So they made, what is this thing again?
The bell housing.
So they had a bigger custom bell housing. So they had to customize the original Jeep.
This is the stock look. To me, it appears to be the stock Toyota bell housing that's been hogged out. And I think the fiberglass may have been put on there just as a dirt protector. Because I don't see it doing anything else except maybe keeping dirt out of the clutch area.
The shifting bell house that you're going to get for this, now it'll connect to these original Jeep holes.
Assumingly so. I've never even dealt with one of these Jeeps. This is the first time I've seen a fiberglass aluminum bell housing. Look at this.
Wow.
That was my line. Wow.
Sounds like a cast.
So why did they fiberglass this thing? Interesting. I could see it working. It all lined up. Pretty cool. There are 3 studs of one size and then a different size here. But I mean, the original, it looks like that's where the Jeep parts bolt together.
Well, I'm glad that the original stuff is still there. So that was the original for this particular chassis.
The same concept, right? The same concept. 4 bolts would index it. Somebody just got super creative one Friday night.
Well, there's not a lot to do out this way.
I don't know where this came from, but it has that Tahone
Ranch sticker
well,
on it.
that body again wasn't from this Jeep itself.
Ah, yes, that's right.
So my friend Chris said he knew this Jeep, and I guess the guy flipped over or something. That's why the body was off. But I can imagine that engine revving out with this low a gearing, and the guy's like, I'm gonna make some history. I think that's exactly what he said. And the rest unfolded.
So he flipped this chassis,
That's what I understand.
and that's why it's all crooked.
Maybe. But to impact that front tire, I mean, he might have had big giant tires on it. To mess with that steering knuckle, I mean, that's not a big deal to bend that in comparison to like bending the whole chassis on, say, a rollover, because the Jeep could have just come down on that corner of the tire. Here we are, we're getting into it. I hope to talk to Chris about this, and yeah, everybody talk amongst yourselves about this awesome engine adaptation.
So, in conclusion.
Well, I wonder, maybe the Jeep clutch disc isn't even grabbing the entirety of the flywheel.
Yeah, I have no
We'll talk about that.
I have no idea what he's talking about.
Imagine a 12-inch flywheel, right? Surface, just to put a number on it, and a 10-inch clutch disc. As long as it's centered, it'll still live in there. So maybe that's what's going on inside the flywheel. Because my brain's percolating.
So say that again. So
just to put a number, okay, 12-inch flywheel, right? A 10-inch clutch disc. 12-inch flywheel surface, just to say, you got a 10-inch clutch disc inside, right? Or 8-inch. As long as it's centered and the throwout bearing's doing its job, it's going to work to a point. Maybe that's what's going on in there. Jeep, clutch disc, everything else is Toyota from the bell housing bolts forward.
I think it's cool.
They even got the Toyota fuel pump. Huh. And power brakes. Somebody was jeeping it up out there.
So guys and ladies and everyone else in between. Martians, especially the Martians. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe.
Let's see if Jamie can work
Oh
on
yeah,
the
I'm going to do a
inserts.
pop-up right there. Boom. please subscribe. Consider subscribing to our channel. We're super excited about this build. Ian and I wanting to create something together for a while, so, and I have a lot to learn, so.
Should be interesting. We got a lot of potential and a new project coming in tomorrow.
Oh boy, I can't even wait to see what Interceptor Dave is going to
And
bring.
again, it's not in the finish line, it's in the journey.
Yep.
We're going to be spinning a lot of different projects.
Yep.
So there we are, 1940 something Jeep project. Jamie's.
46-ish.
All right.
What'd you say, Jamie's Jeep? Sorry, I didn't mean to
Jamie's
interrupt you.
Jeep continues next.